super excited. Okay, Monica. So before we get started, do I have your permission to record?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So I want to know if you can just give everyone some background from you, kind of like what you do, maybe where you're from, and all the great things about you as being a mom and a grandmother, all that good stuff.
Okay. I'm born and raised in California, Northern California in the Bay Area. I moved here in Las Vegas probably about 26 years and been going to Church LV since. And so in my state of life or stage of life right now, I just turned 60. So I'm a mother and a wife and a grandmother now. So I'm in a totally different stage of life right now. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. Um, and it's just sorry, but it's um, it's everything's learning and just it's different now because there's grandchildren and just what I did and how I grew up and being married for 35 years. Just and having my children and then now seeing my children raise their children, it's like, oh, you kind of are more like kind of critical. And so it's interesting to learn different things and to be accepted, and be flexible and listen more instead of being more direct and directing. And so this is just, knowing who God is, growing in God, learning God. I feel like he's really really is navigating me through all different stages of my life, which is amazing.
That's so good. Thank you for sharing just kind of like your journey. Well, no one's going to believe that you're 60. That's the first thing. And that you have grandchildren and have been married for 34 years, you said?
35 years, yes.
35 years,
Yeah.
pardon me. So 35 years and just the difference in womanhood,
Hmm.
parenthood, like you've changed, you've learned. I would kind of describe you as a matriarch because I either deal with women who are high performers or they're matriarchs, and the matriarch is really the one who's the glue. You kind of keep everything
Yeah.
going in the
Lot,
family, and it causes
right.
a lot of, for a lot of women, whether they work or not, being the woman and a mother and a matriarch, it can cause like a lot of pressure. So when we think about coaching and just having that support where it's structured and there's learning and there's action steps and accountability, what was your experience before? Like, had you had coaching before? Had you done it?
So no coaching at all, but I have been very curious about coaching. I went to a retreat and they were talking about coaching and Pastor Wendy has a coach and everybody seems to always have coaches. And I'm like, what is this? And I thought coaching was more of people who were entrepreneur, who needed guidance, who needed knowledge and wisdom of how to run a business. So that was all that I knew. But just talking a little bit with Pastor Wendy, it was just kind of like, it was just a coaching, like, I feel like it was more of going to the doctors and saying, there's something going on with me, but I'm not really sure what it is. Here's my symptoms. And then you getting all these, like, it could be da 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 da, or this is what you're da 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 lacking. And I feel like that was kind of what my experience was. And doing this coaching, it was very enlightening, very amazing, very self looking inward, and really
Mm.
thinking that, oh, wow, like getting a prescription for, a certain thing that I was dealing with, or I didn't know I was dealing with it. And it's like, oh, okay, so I thought that that was really amazing and very eye opening for me.
And I like that you said that you thought coaching is just for someone who's building a business, but you
Yeah.
found that to be very different going to a doctor and recognizing, okay, so I need a little tightening up here and I
Yeah.
need to get this in alignment there. And so when we started, one of the very first modules that we did was recognizing motherhood and your role and your identity. That's
Yes.
where we started. So what was your initial impression when we had that first phone call?
Um, I was very nervous. I'll admit I was just very nervous because I didn't know really what to expect. And then knowing that we were having a meeting with other women, right? Um, and so, but it was, it got me out of my comfort zone. So, especially learning about motherhood, like, I just thought, okay, mother is, you are take care of the house, you raise your children, you're there, you fix breakfast, you do all these things, get them ready for school. Then they have different stages of life. And then now I'm at my stage of my life where, okay, they're all grown, right? So where is my motherhood? What does that mean as a mother anymore? Because they're all grown. I'm now a grandmother, so I had that role of a grandmother, but that's not a mother because I have an adult child, right? So it brought in a lot of perspective of boundaries. So that was very important for me. Motherhood, having boundaries, um, especially having boundaries with adult children, right?
Mhm.
So that was a big awareness for me and very enlightening and very helpful learning that.
And I like what you said too, just that motherhood changes. And it's really interesting because some of the things that we've talked about in these coaching calls, it's like I think of it like this: you go to school and you learn. Okay, so this is kind of what mama does. She gets them ready for school, like you said, and she guides them along their way. But then there are other elements to us that we
Mm-hmm.
never learn. You don't go to school and learn about boundaries.
Right,
You learn like, hey, like don't allow someone to touch your body, but then you don't learn, hey, who actually belongs in my heart?
right.
What's the boundary within my heart? And so we did like several things, like we have the mastermind and we have the accountability calls. And what would you say like you experienced as a result of being in with a group of women in those calls? Like what did you learn about yourself, about other women, about life, about God?
What I loved about that is once we started to continue with the same women and them opening up every week, we opened up even more and more. We got more deeper and deeper of conversations and things like that. It was very helpful to have these other women because when we were learning like certain things like trust and friendship and how to deal, I love the accountability. That was my fear of being accountable, and I'm sure every woman is, but being accountable for your actions that you said you were going to take, the week
Mhm.
before. And so when you asked us if we accomplished it, a lot of times we started it and then we were going forward to it, but then we kind of stopped because we didn't know, um, not that we failed, but maybe in my mind, I thought I did fail. But having these other women, when you ask them what they thought and what maybe they could have helped with me, they could have given some advice. I love that because it was all different avenues, all different uh, answers that they could have, that maybe you could have done. And it was just amazing because it's like, oh, okay, I could have done this. And so it just kind of made me have that information and that, wisdom from the other women, and kind of they put themselves in my position. And that was really, really good for me to navigate through my accountabilities and my for my actions actually. So that was, I really enjoyed that, just getting those different views and different perspectives.
I like you that you said that, Monica, because a lot of people, when I say, hey, like this is high accountability, they get nervous and they get scared because they think that it's like a drill sergeant and
Yeah.
you're gonna have somebody telling you what to do. But I like to say accountability is just somebody calling you up to
Mm-hmm.
who you've already been called to be.
Right.
That's really what it is. And then the perspective of the other women is so powerful because what you really see is that in your struggle of being a woman, in whether you're building a business or you're just trying to build a life, that you're not alone. Because
Yes.
sometimes we can think, okay, I'm the only one who's having these issues with maybe my adult kids. Or I'm the only one who's caregiving. I'm the only one who's dealing with it. And then you get in a room and find out we're actually all having the same experience.
Yeah.
So,
I think that.
so no, what do you think about that? Like, how would you?
I feel like our lives kind of intersected one another, right? We had a woman that was, dealing with their children, like still in a high school age, another woman that had grandchildren, and living and navigating through their adult children. So it was really informative, and uh, like you said, we're not alone. We're not alone, and we're not failures, just because and I feel like sometimes we think we are failures, because we're so hard on ourselves. And I think that when you said it's to lift each other up, it's really great to have that, because we're the hardest person for ourselves. We're harder on ourselves. And also, we don't see certain things or certain gifts or certain strengths in ourselves that other women, especially in this small knit circle, sees. And that is very powerful.
And I love that. And okay, because it like what we did, a lot of it is so faith-based, people can sometimes think, oh,
Mm,
is this like Bible study? Is this, like we're gonna get around and like pray or something like that?
yes,
So like
yes.
what would you say is the difference between what we have in the power experience versus like your traditional small group Bible study?
So I feel like you said, in you know we perish without wisdom, and we or vision we perish without, or vision without vision we perish. I like how everything is biblical based, because you take the Bible, you take the words, and you actually interject them with the process and with the actions that we're supposed to be taking with the Lord. The Lord already says all this stuff. The Lord has said all these things that we should do, and be trustworthy and faithful, and have we don't live life alone, having vision, and so having that background and having that knowledge and wisdom with that hand in hand, I feel like it's so much more powerful, because and it kind of broke it down. It's like, oh yeah, that's what that means. Oh, okay. And then having all the women understand that, and then listening to what those words mean to them versus what the words mean to me. And it's just like getting different perspectives of that. And it's like, I think it's just so powerful to have the words, and the scriptures along with this process. You need it.
Yeah, and I think so too. And a lot of what I do is I take a lot of like coaching essentials and human development and contemporary models of thought and psychology, and
Yeah.
then say, okay, and take that and kind of coalesce them with the word of God to really explain to people, okay, so trust. What does that mean? Because sometimes we think, oh, we just trust everyone, we just love everyone. It's like, oh, no, no, you don't.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, like I'm not God. So so we can't just trust anyone, but we do have to trust someone.
Right.
And that was like that module we talked about how to identify those safe women, like who are the safe sisters that you're going to
Exactly.
need in your life. And so that was
Yeah.
really powerful. That was a powerful one, and understanding the different types of
Absolutely.
relationships and
Absolutely.
and and really what that looks like. So what would you say was the result of you having that information and inspiration on trust and relationships and emotions, like how we process emotions, like what did that really help you to do?
um when you said that we're not supposed to trust everybody, but because we have to guard our hearts, as the scripture says, right? And you can't cast your pearls to swine either. So it's very important to find those circle of friends, and it's probably going to be a little, just a small percentage. It's just going to be like a few that you can really pour your heart pour your heart and have them encourage you, have them do the walk with you. Um, it's that was very powerful to me to look at the women in my lives, and to say, you know, I can go to them if I have an issue or problem, not having that storytelling, as you say, this conversation of, oh, they don't want to listen to me, da 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 da. And usually people who, a lot of women just like to listen to their issues and their problems and just kind of just be that one. And that's who I was, or who I am also, but have now developed where I can trust the people that I have that I can actually say that are my true friends, my true friendship, and that circle of friends. And then be able to, it really made me look inside. And it was kind of emotional because, you live your daily life without, and I feel like that's what coaching also does is it makes you look inward, that you think that you have taken care of these issues of life. And they always stem from, you always touch back on your mother and all the cycles and all the different strongholds and things like that. And so that was very powerful also to see that there's some issues that you may have, that you thought that was resolved, but the more you talk, the more in depth you get into this, it really brings out a lot more and a lot of more emotions, I feel. And I felt very comfortable. We all felt very comfortable after, a certain amount of time, that we were able to cry and we were able to laugh and we were able to joke and be lifted up and be encouraged and be poured into. And that's what I feel like this is all combined.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Monica. And I think that that is so true because a lot of the work that I do is really helping women, number one, understand their purpose,
Mm-hmm.
getting them massive clarity on it. So we've got to get you to understand, like, why are you here on earth? What are you here to do? So you're not doing like all of this stuff that like you're not supposed to do.
Right.
I mean, like you're gonna have to change diapers, you're gonna have to, help your kids and be there for your family, but that's the beginning of how we begin to learn how to set boundaries, is understanding your purpose. But then usually a woman will have a lot of difficulty walking in her purpose if she doesn't address patterns in her family.
Right.
And there's patterns a lot of times it comes from our family of origin with our mothers and with our fathers. So we're just doing things that we learned but never stop to think, why is it that I do the things that I do? And so then we have to, a lot of times we've got to address wounds. And I love what you said. It's not that the wound is, it's not that you've solved it. A lot of times we've just suppressed it.
Mm-hmm.
We've just suppressed it and it's called emotional cutoff. You're like, oh yeah, I'm good.
Mm,
But really, if you feel in your body, it's like, actually, there's some things I need to address. And it doesn't mean that you're like a immature. It just means that you're having a deeper, opening yourself up and having that deep healing with God to really say, hey, you know what, God, I'm not my family's patterns.
right.
I can actually give up these patterns and give up saying I wasn't taught or I didn't learn or I was raised. You can actually change the pattern, but you've got to identify it. So that's like my heart is for women to identify those patterns and then have power over it because it's really hard to change something that you don't know.
Yes. Yes. And I felt
Yeah,
like that was a lot. You really shined the light on those things. And again, you just need to trust in the Lord, through all of this process, and then get the wisdom and the knowledge, and then to be able to navigate and deal with emotions that do come up and situations that do come up, is brought up with that.
that's so good. And so for a woman who's just like, I don't know if I should like do this or is this really going to help me in my
Mm,
relationships? Because it's all about like really what we're doing is helping you walk out your calling, but
right.
addressing things in your relationships. It's 100% that. Like if she's like, oh, like I'm scared or,
Yeah.
should I make the investment? Like I've never done it before. Like what would you say to her?
Um, Definitely make an investment. It's very important. Like I said, I'm 60, and I always told myself once I started getting closer to 60, I always told myself, I still want to learn. I still want to grow. I still want to be able to be stretched. And I still want to know what God has for me, has my purpose, has my calling. What do I need to do? Because we have to, like I said, or like you said, different stages in our lives, we do different things. And then sometimes we suppress things because it's been suppressed for so long. So my goal was, and I had no intentions. I mean, if it wasn't for you, and I'm so grateful that you did, that you reached out to me, and then God put you on me on your heart, because I probably wouldn't have reached out. Or I probably would have talked to somebody in this little group now, and just say, this is so amazing. You need to check this out. And it's just like I said, I was like, I wasn't even on the fence. I was not even on the bench. And I took a leap of faith. God put this in my heart when I said that, I'm turning 60. I need to learn. I need to grow. I don't know what I need. I don't know. I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know what this was all about. And God brought all this and this light on everything with the word, with your knowledge, with your wisdom, with your powerful tools that you have given us. And the beautiful women that have brought in this circle. And it was amazing. So yes, invest in yourself. To I mean, it never, it didn't hurt me. I can honestly say it didn't hurt me. And I can't say it's like, well, I didn't get anything out of this. I got a lot, and it was amazing. And it was things that it was just like, wow, okay, yeah, I totally understand. And it was just all about, just being open, being having a great mentor, pulling things out of us, pulling at things out of me that I was just like, oh, it was hard. It was hard. It wasn't easy. It still is hard, but at the end of the day, at the end of our meeting, I can honestly say I feel so refreshed, so alive, so grateful, so closer to the Lord, to really understand what He has for me. And I'm just getting that much closer, because it's a journey, and we're going to continue to have that journey. But the best thing you can do is to get that knowledge and wisdom, and to enjoy it. Enjoy it.
That's so good. Thank you so much, Monica. And I have like, I think that our group is just phenomenal because it's like, it's a community of women who, like you said, like you're 60, but growth doesn't stop when you're 60.
No.
Like you keep going and you're doing this and showing your children that there's value in you. And so when we invest in ourselves as women, like it's one of the hardest things to do, to say, "Oh, I'm going to invest. I'm going to like do this for myself, for my soul." We're actually being an example to our
Mm,
kids and showing them that
right.
they're worthy of growing and development. They're worth more than like Starbucks and, good food, which we love to, go out and
Yeah.
eat and all of those things, but their soul is worth an
There's so
investment. It
absolutely.
is. It is 100%. So there you have it, ladies. Like for those of you who are watching, like you will 100% um, understand your patterns, look at your family issues, and you will become like the highest and most authentic version of you. So I hope to
Amen.
see you at the Power Experience.
Thank you.